Hi guys, bienvenidos al día 5. Estamos empezando con la gramática de comparativos y empecemos primero con las entradas, apuntes, práctica juntos, práctica en la página 150 o 75 con las actividades 12 hasta 17. Disculpe porque tengo mi cachorra, Luna, quien está barking ahí. She's busy playing with some sort of toy she's frustrated with. I don't know. So if you hear her, ignore her. It's just life at home today. So let's take a look first at the entrada. So hopefully you have already done a lot of dates and numerals, okay? So remember, it says el 13 de abril, okay? Remember that in Spanish, we write the dates using numbers, starting with the day, then the month, then the year, okay? The nice thing about this entry task is it's already kind of doing that for you, okay, based on how it's written out. And then your speaking section here is ¿Cuál es la fecha de tu nacimiento? So what is the day of your birthday? So you kind of have an example here, what you might see on a computer screen in Espanol. And on this, your answer could be something like mi fecha de nacimiento es then your day, your month, and then your year. Okay, so we've done something similar before, it's just in a different sentence format. Okay, so your ejemplo is mi fecha de nacimiento es el 27 de enero de 1986. Okay, if you're not a 1900s baby, you're going to start with 2000 for 2000 and then finish off with the number of the year that you were born in. Okay, take a minute to go ahead and get that done over there. Let's go on. So we are now going to take a look at a couple of new things. I want you to first make sure that you have had a chance to look at the Flip It video for yesterday's, and then go ahead and start the video again. So if you haven't seen it, push pause and start again in a minute. Now that we're all caught up on that, let's take a look at some of the new stuff we're going to talk about. So one thing you do want to do is go back to your new vocab sheet, because on the back side, the third page, you're actually going to have a set of notes there. So if you have the printed version, pull that out. I recommend using colors like we do in class. If you do not have it in print, that's absolutely fine. I actually went to the slide here. I'm going to show you how to do this, and then I'm actually going to share this file with you into the drive so that you can do it yourself too. Okay, so I'm going to go to File, Download as a PDF. Okay, when you do that, it's going to end up looking like this. Now, the cool thing about this is that then you can take that into Cami. So when we have Cami here, you just would open that up. You would choose this file from your drive, and then it's going to open up looking like this. So you can actually do stuff on it. So you're going to have this actual Cami. I did it for you this time. If you ever needed to make something into a PDF in the future to write on through Cami, you don't have access to know how to do that. But let's take a look at comparativos. So comparativos are going to use comparing two things. So you always have to have two things. Okay, it's almost always going to use the verb ser with it as well. So if we are going to look at comparing things, and I put some pictures down here for us to use for some options. So we have fruits here. We have a grandma and a younger, probably daughter or granddaughter. We have a cupcake that's sweet. And we also have a pepper. So nice and hot, caliente. Okay, so let's take a look over here. We're going to type. And with Cami, you can check on the text box here, and there's different colors you can choose from. Okay, so let's first talk about these fruits here. Okay, so we're talking about manzanas y naranjas. And remember that naranja, the fruit, is actually a different word than the color of orange, which we have in English, where we share those two words. It's not the same in Spanish. It's anaranjado for the color and naranja for the actual fruit. Okay, so let's start with our objects first. Okay, so I'm going to choose green on this guy. And I want to say la naranja. Why isn't that changing color? Let's change it color this way. That goes. And you can also make it bigger here, which is nice. It gives you some options. There we go. La naranja. And then we want to add our verb. Okay, so in this case, I usually do. Right. Naranja es más. And then we have to decide what it's more than. So is it going to be sweeter? Is it going to be larger? What is it going to be? So what is the comparison you're making? In this case, I'm just going to go with larger. In this case, I don't know. I was just at the store and the oranges, they were humongous. So la naranja es más grande que, and then the other object that we are comparing. Okay, so I'm just going to click off that box and start a new one here. Que la manzana. Okay, now the cool thing about Cami is I can then, for my OCD, move some things around on here as well so that they look better together. I want to make sure I add that period at the end. Just because you're doing a Spanish does not mean you don't have to have a period. Okay, so you can see we use más que. So la naranja is más grande que la manzana. In English, that would be la naranja, so the orange, is larger than the apple. Okay. Let's look at menos que. Menos que means less than. Okay. And then tan como is going to be the same as or as much as. So let's look at menos que. La naranja. We start with that again. Es. We want to say it is. Es menos dulce. Less sweet. Que la manzana. Now, if we were talking about more than one, we would have to change a couple of things. We would actually have to change everything here to being plural. And that's going to include a couple of extra things. So we have to be las naranjas. We would have to change this to manzanas. So las manzanas. Because sometimes you're not just talking about one thing, you're talking about multiple. And the other important thing to know is that our verb here, which is from ser, is still going to have to change based on the number of things we're talking about. So in this case, it's going to be changed to son. Okay? Nothing else in the sentence needs to change, which is awesome. Okay? So you got that there. Let's look at tan como. Okay? So we've got there. Las naranjas son tan caro. Okay, so as expensive as. Tan caro. Caro is expensive. And it can just mean that it has the same cost, not that it is expensive, but it's just the same price. So tan caro que. The thing we're comparing it to, which is las manzanas. Got it? Okay. Now, if we're not going to use an adjective, so in this case, the adjective was grande, dulce, caro, so things are describing them. If we're not going to use those in there, we can make comparisons as well. So in this case, it's easier to use this when you're talking about using gustar. So you could say something like, me gusta el pastelito. And then we're going to change it to put our comparison here. Más que. el helado, ice cream. Okay, it's not true, but we're going to use it as an example. Okay, so me gusta el pastelito más que el helado. I like cupcakes more than ice cream. Okay, let's try this guy, menos que. So me gusta el helado menos que el pastelito. Now, notice that my things got color changed here, so we're just going to fix that. Change that color back to our green. So, me gusta el helado menos que el pastelito. I like ice cream less than the cupcake. Okay, so we're really making the same comparison. It's just using different vocabulary. Okay, tanto como. Let's talk about that one. So tanto como means as much as. Okay, it's similar if you're looking at the one above it using adjectives. They're really similar, just kind of different how you use them. Okay, just like in English. So tanto como is going to be as much as. So I could say something like, me gusta el café latte tanto como el pastelito. Okay, so I like coffee or latte coffee as much as I like a cupcake. Okay, me gusta el café latte tanto como el pastelito. So we also have a couple of irregulars. We have mayor, menor, mejor, and peor. So mayor is going to be older, menor is going to be younger. Okay, mejor is going to be better, and peor is going to be worse. Okay, so let's talk about our older people here for that, our people on the phone. So we can say la abuela es mayor. Okay. And this way we're making a comparison. It's an irregular because you can't say mayor que. It's just la abuela es mayor. She is older. You don't have to have two things there. Okay. And this one we can say la nieta es menor. Okay. The granddaughter is younger. Okay. For mejor, better, we could say Starbucks es mejor. You could also say Starbucks es mejor que Dutch Bro. Something like that. So you can use that K in there as well. It's just a little bit different. Okay. And let's look at peor. And it's really similar to mejor because it's like we did above where you can change that. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this guy here. We're really going to just flip it, okay? Because mejor and peor are opposite. So if I said, I don't believe this because I go to both places, so don't murder me on this thought. But if I said Dutch bro es peor que Starbucks, okay? I could say that. But I could also say Dutch bro es peor, just worse. But that implies you've already talked about the two beforehand, and so you're making those comparisons. Okay, so hopefully this is making a little bit of sense. We're going to go ahead and practice it as well. So let's go ahead and look at our slides. We need to be going back to day 5. And we are on page 175 during actividades 12 through 17. So we're going to go to our online book. Okay, for number 12, número 12, sus familias. Completa las oraciones con qué o cómo para describir a las familias de Rodrigo y Marisol. Okay, on the side box here, you're just going to go ahead and number 1 through 6 and put in qué or cómo. Go. Great, let's go on to 13. We have comparaciones. We're using más que, menos que, tan como y tanto como. Okay, so mira los dibujos y haz comparaciones usando the ones I just said. Okay, look at the model here. It gave you the person or people in some of them. The comparison they want you to make using the adjective to the other thing. Okay, so we have Nicholas and we have Sarah. And we're talking about how big one is compared to the other. Okay, so Nicolás es más grande que Sara. So he is more big than Sarah. Sometimes the translations of these directly into English aren't actually correct English grammar, so be careful and know that a little bit, okay? That does work in Spanish, but in English it doesn't sound quite right or correct. So look at number 1 together. So we have Nora and we have Patricia, and we're saying that one of them is alto or alta. In this case, it's 2 girls, so we're going to use alta, okay? And one is not really taller than the other. So take a look. Are we going to use más, menos, tan, or tanto como? Because we're using an adjective in there, we can't use tanto como. We actually need to use tan, como, because we need to put the adjective in there. Okay, so let's put it all together. We have Nora es tan alta como Patricia. She is as tall as Patricia. Okay, go ahead and take a minute in the box over here. And number 1 through 6, I already gave you the first answer, so you should be able to copy that down. 1 through 6, write one sentence for each. Go. Let's talk a little bit about the letter J, or la letra J. So the J in the Spanish sounds similar to an H in the word hello. It's a harder H sound, okay? So we have jamón, mujer, dibujar, joven, junio, hija. Okay. La mujer pelirroja es joven. El cumpleaños del hijo es en julio. Now, you'll hear I did that a little bit harder than normal. Part of that is where you've learned Spanish, who's taught you. So I had a professor from España who the region he learned in does use a much harder J sound. And so that's kind of what I've learned. I also overemphasized it for you guys so you would be able to hear it as well. Around our area here in the Pacific Northwest, you're not going to hear that. It's a much lighter. It's going to be like jamón, mujer, dibujar. It's not nearly as strong, okay? So take a minute, pause the video, practice that. Remember, miles on the tongue. So the more that you're actually using the language, those muscles are going to develop and it's going to get more natural for you. You won't get as tongue-tied, okay? Promise. So take a second, pause the video, and practice those. Hopefully you practice those. Help yourself. And let's look at number 14. Capitán y Príncipe. Ana habla de sus animales, capitán y príncipe. Escucha su descripción y decide si las siguientes oraciones son ciertas o falsas. So on the side, after we listen to this, you are going to just number 1 through 6 and put a C for cierto, so if it's true, or an F for falso. Okay, so let's take a look.
Mi familia y yo tenemos un perro y un gato. Nuestro perro se llama Capitán y nuestro gato se llama Príncipe. Capitán es tan simpático como Príncipe, pero también son diferentes. Príncipe es mucho más pequeño que Capitán. A Príncipe le gusta descansar tanto como comer. Capitán tiene 3 años, Príncipe tiene 8 años. Capitán no hace mucho, es más perezoso que Príncipe.
Okay, so if you didn't get all of that, feel free to go ahead and rewind the video and listen to it again. Okay, couple things. They actually use a lot of opposites. So remember when we were working on our worksheet in Cami that talked about how más and menos are opposites of each other. They use that in the listening and in the writing. Okay, so go back and listen again. Okay, they also kind of flipped a little bit of things. So really get the gist of what the information, and then you'll do your answers. But you want number 1 through 6, a C if it's true, and F if it's false. Go ahead and do that. Let's look at number 15. This is some writing practice. So, los retratos. How do portraits represent the people in a country? Rafael Tufino was born in New York and moved to Puerto Rico, his parents' homeland, as a child. Much of his work reflects the people and culture of Puerto Rico. In addition to painting like La Bandera, he painted many portraits of his mother, giving them the title Goyita. These portraits came to represent not just his mother, but Puerto Rican women all over. Fernando Sayan Polo, an artist from Peru, also reflects the people of his country through his artwork. His painting Niña Campesina Sonriente depicts a young girl wearing traditional Andean dress. Look for a copy of Fernando Sayan Polo's Niña Campesina Sonriente in the library or on the internet and compare the girl with the woman in La Bandera. So now you're going to take a look, and if you had to paint a portrait of someone famous, which person would you choose and why? So let's take a look first and look at these because we need to do that in order to actually do our writing part, because it's going to ask us to escribe 5 oraciones para comparar la mujer de la bandera con la niña de Niña Campesina Sonriente. So we need to write 5 sentences comparing those 2 paintings. So let's take a look at those. So we already have one of them here, which is La Bandera. Okay, and we're going to take a look at Niña Campesina Sonriente. So let's open up another one here. Niña Campesina Sonriente, right there. Let's just get images. And I want to make sure we got the right one because it looks like there's a lot of options. So I'm going to put in the name of the artist also to look for that as well, make sure we got the right one. And I see that there's one there, but I want to kind of make sure. There we go. So looks like there might be a couple of kind of something similar, but we kind of get the gist of it. Okay, so if we take a look at her, what comparisons can we make? So I see that she's wearing a hat. She actually looks happy. There's flowers, there's more color, I think, in comparison to this one. She's a little more downtrodden. She looks older, right? She probably had more life experiences. And La Lavandera is actually means a washerwoman. So if you notice in her hands here, she has those old fashioned, it's almost like a grate that you rub the clothes over with soap, and that really kind of gets all the dirt and grime out. And then you would rinse out the clothes. Old fashioned hand washing way of doing clothing. And it's hard work. Your arms get a really good workout on that. So take a look at her and what that represents for Puerto Rico, okay, versus this young girl who's living in probably the Andean mountains in Peru. It's very different. She just is younger. She looks happier. The color choice is different. It also doesn't really show a job she's doing or anything really about her life other than some culture based on what she's wearing. Okay. And the name of it also is The Little Field Girl. Okay. Or Country Girl That Smiles. So the country smiling girl. It's really what the title means versus the laundry woman. So go ahead and take a minute. I would really recommend making a list of ideas that you want to incorporate in your 5 sentences, and also make sure that you are pre-looking up some new words before you start your writing. So if you do that pre-work, it'll take less time for you then to actually sit and do the actual writing because you're not back and forth and losing your train of thought. You'll be able to stay in the target language of Spanish longer if you've already done that pre-work of looking up the words you don't know. Okay, so take a minute. This will take a little bit longer, and that's okay. Take a minute to look up those words, have some ideas of how you want to compare those two pictures. Okay, look them up on your own as well, and then go ahead and put that writing in there. Please make sure it's your own writing. I can tell if it's used in a translator. Make sure you're being honest. Okay, so we've got that writing done. Let's go ahead and go to our exit task. So we are going to be telling a couple of things. So you're going to rewrite these into Espanol. So rewrite this and to say that your brother is taller than your father. Okay. So what really you want to translate is my brother is taller than my father. The second one is I like apples as much as bananas. And math class is better than art class. Okay. So take a look at that. You also have some Gramática Práctica 2 to do over the next couple of days to get some more practice, and there'll be some other work for you to practice in our other slides as well. Nos vemos!